Hey, Nation, back around the horn, coming up on mid-year, headed into the second half with no other than Joshua Liberman out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Got to tell on myself, we recently did an online security event that was geo-targeting Albuquerque, and I kept misspelling the name of your city, man. That's just one of those words. I have to slow down and look that up. I'm assuming it comes second nature to you, just like someone living in Mississippi can spell that state name too. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm fine. I was gifted. I was a finalist for the New York State Spelling Bee, so Albuquerque was not a challenge, but I certainly know that it is, generally speaking.
Yeah,
So,
no
yeah,
kidding.
for a lot of
Hey,
people.
the topic this month, you and I were talking off camera. So the topic this month is you're busy, and busy means community. So tell me what that means. You're doing podcasts, you're on with some groups, name names.
All right. Well, so normally I fly to about 20 events a year, somewhere around there,
Yeah.
between 16 and 24. And that's not happening, as most people know. And maybe 2/3 of them have gone virtual. So I'm doing stuff with Channel Pro virtual. As a matter of fact, I think I'll take this opportunity to show everybody
Yeah.
that I inspired in the bar at Channel Pro. I told them I'd come down with a case of Corona right after I told them to stay positive, just don't test positive. So
That's pretty cool.
that led to a damn t-shirt. It's very nice, actually. So I've been doing stuff for them, including something tomorrow, and many others. You mentioned Ravi Das, but there's been a lot of different organizations. I honestly don't even know by name. I guess they're all trying to fill the void that shows have created, and they're all trying to offer value to people who are wrestling with remote work and everything else surrounding, COVID-19 responses and lockdowns. So there's been that. I've been trying to write more. I've been writing quite a bit for new publications like Commercial Integrator, Business Solutions, or whatever their new name is, I'm sorry, and for Channel Pro as always. And I revised all my MSA or Master Services Agreement and my own scope of works, statements of work, and marketing. So we're slow as a business because our first project of the year just happened, and it was very big, the biggest one we've ever done. But that's really the first outside of the MRR managed services box job we've done. Hardware sales are down about 90% because everybody's wondering about tomorrow, or maybe 80%. So we've been slow in that sense, but anybody that runs an MSP, whether they're solo or have a dozen employees, knows that you're busiest when it's slowest. Unless you have a dedicated sales and marketing team, when things are slow is when you're busy, because you have to make sure there's a tomorrow, all the more so right now. So between the community and that, I've stayed busy. I got my towel from Carl's. I just left the Small Business Thoughts community.
Yeah. Well, that's my show and tell. As a community member, this is what you get when you join Carl's event. Can you see that okay, Josh?
I can, Harry, and actually, I think you need a manicure. But yes, I can say that. Nice. And so I always. So, which I know is harder to find nowadays.
I got to the barber. I got to the barber finally, man. That was cool.
Can you believe I can do this myself? I didn't know this until March, but I can now, in 20 minutes, with a little help from Heidi, so I don't cut something off the back of my head. I can now do this. I realize that this is like telling people you have the recipe for ice cubes, but I can cut my own hair, and I didn't know that.
There we go. Well, hey, I have a question for you. With all your online community digital outreach, I had a conversation earlier this week with someone in our community that he kind of expressed concern that it's all starting to look alike and feel alike, this plethora of online events and so on. You have a take on that? I mean, I think we can all agree they're not the same as an in-person event, right? I think we can all agree on that. But what's your feeling? Because you're doing a bunch of them, man.
Well, first of all, yeah, they're not the same, and I think that I hope that the future of our industry isn't predominantly online events because they're not even close to the same. The interactions aren't yet there. Now, I can't say that in 5 or 10 years with a room full of 3D cameras and imaging and aroma data and everything else we're going to have, most likely, that we can't get closer. Don't think that through too carefully, but we can't get closer to the idea or the experience, but it won't be the same. I mean, there's just nothing like the pressing of flesh, and I mean handshakes, or just the experience of being around people, and of course the networking that can happen, and the random chance meetings and the random chance things you hear that lead to walking over there. I think that there may be an immersive way to do a virtual event in our future, and I think that if it was going to happen, it is going to happen now because of this. Maybe sooner than later, but right now, in my opinion, these don't yet touch the real world. You can get a lot of information. The presenters can absolutely get their information disseminated, but the support people, the vendors, I should say, the people who are paying the bills for these events aren't seeing the ROI that they want to see.
I agree.
And the attendees aren't seeing, as I said, the human networking that we would want to see. There's different platforms. You know, I dropped in on Robin Robbins' event very briefly to see what it was like. Got invited in there because I understood that her platform was extremely well done, and I would agree with that. I dropped where I've been part of the Channel Pro events, which seem to have a very good platform too. I was on a Datto event this morning. I've recently been on ID Agent, or Kaseya actually, events. One of them was a local thing that you sent me to. I believe that was the Kaseya ID Agent Albuquerque thing.
Oh, no, that was actually Phelim Row. Phelim Row, he has
Phelim.
independent events for managed security services. But hey, man, you're doing so many events. I forgive you, man. They all blend together.
They do, and that's not very respectful to the people who are throwing them, and I don't mean to say that, but it's a little bit like meeting 30 people in a cocktail party and hoping to remember 30 names. I'm up to 10 or 20, and I used to be 0 for 30, but it's still really hard to keep track of this. The biggest shortcoming so far for me has been that the experience of travel is gone too. And I don't mean, I don't mean TSA, and I don't even mean sitting on a plane, although I've written almost 100 articles on planes, so that's kind of nice. But what I mean about the experience of travel is a new city, people you haven't met before. You know, these are generally in very nice hotels, and there's rooms to stretch out and experience it, see what kind of gym they've got, walk around the property, maybe make a little road trip or a little side tour. Obviously, that just doesn't happen now. So that's been challenging for me. But I wonder how many of our full-size, fully populated events will resume if this really stretches through the year, which is starting to look possible. So.
Well, and I'll end on that. We'll make that the final topic, because I have had this conversation in particular with vendors, 1 or 2 attendees, but you're hearing both arguments, right? So they're vendors I trust and respect, and I think are thought leaders. Just this morning was on with one who he honestly doesn't believe there will be live events to his satisfaction until 2021, right? And he's pretty picky. He's got vendor dollars and he wants to spend them wisely. And so he's not planning at a certain level to do this until 2021. And then you have the attendees, and you have Mama Bear who's telling Papa Bear, you're not getting on no plane and going to Boston and attending an event this year because of love, affection, income, family, you know what I mean? And Joshua, that's going to be the shadow, the shadow economy, if you will, is, can you get on a plane? Well, yeah, you could. And could you go to Boston? Yeah, you could. Are you allowed to? No, you're not.
There are just more variables in this equation than there used to be, and it's harder to weigh those variables appropriately. You say Boston, theoretically, on the 1st of September, I'll be in Boston and speaking for Channel Pro, and theoretically, on the 24th and 25th of September, I'll be in Boston and working for ASCII doing photography. Theoretically, we don't know where those are going to go, and I don't have any secret information on this. Nobody does.
Yeah,
it's really hard. I'm sure we've all noticed or heard of people noticing things like more animals wandering into cities and towns. We know that emissions around the world dropped, global carbon emissions dropped. I can tell you that the single most unfriendly, globally unfriendly thing that many of us in this industry do is fly all around the country all the time, or around the world for that matter. And it's one of those things where I've often wondered, where do I draw the line? You know, I could go to 50 events. I can probably get paid to go to half of them. That means I break even and travel every week. If I was willing to put up with that, should I, would I? Please excuse me, I'm gonna push that off. Okay, there we go. So I have to think about that. I mean, this has caused us to evaluate things we didn't previously carefully evaluate. That's generally a good thing. I think it's good, but it's different.
Now, Joshua, and again, before we run, but yeah, I've reset because I traveled. I fancy myself a traveler, and I don't miss it as much as I thought. I do like to get out. I do get cabin fever, and I've got pandemic head in these four walls, but I'm going to have a look in the mirror, my friend. When we get through all this, I'm going to look in the mirror and go, you know, and I mean no offense to anybody, but often these events, I do like the networking, but there's a little bit of a voice inside of me that says, same old, same old. So I'll either do new events or target. I'll target the events I go to. So stand by for that look in the mirror. Hey, we got.
You know what, Harry? You just, I think.
Final word. Go ahead. Then we got to run.
Evaluation. Just be more critical, more discriminating, and make sure that everything you're doing, whether it's money, time, cost, risk, or global warming exposure, make sure it's worth it. You know, and I think that more of us will be doing that.
Yep. Well, hey, sir, I'm on my way. I always like to keep it real, folks. I'm filling up the Ford Ranger truck. They have reopened donations. Today, I'm taking some stuff that I had a mini storage over to St. Vincent de Paul, the Catholic charity. I'm trying to spread my giving around. I encourage you, Joshua, and others to give more than you take, spread your giving around, send the elevator back down. And Joshua, I want to be the first to say, have a happy 4th of July weekend that's approaching very quickly. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Harry. You too, and to everybody who listens, take care. It's not really a given anymore. Stay positive, just don't test positive.
See you again. Get a trademark on that. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.